So I'll share my screen now. The screen is visible to all of you. So we'll read this verse. Before that, we'll recite a short prayer. Okay. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नाम्निने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we'll read. This is from verse 37 from the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha काम एष क्रोध एष रजोगुण समुद्भवः महाशनो महापाप्मा विद्येनं ह्यवैरिणम्. So translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world." Purport. When a living entity comes in contact with the material creation, his eternal love for Krishna is transformed into lust in association with the mode of passion. Or in other words, the sense of love of God becomes transformed into lust as milk is transformed into as milk in contact with sour tamarind is transformed into yogurt. Then again, when lust is unsatisfied, it turns into wrath. Wrath is transformed into illusion, and illusion continues the material existence. Therefore, lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity, and it is lust only which induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in the material world. Wrath is the manifestation of the mode of ignorance. These modes exhibit themselves as wrath and other corollaries. If therefore the mode of passion, instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, is elevated to the mode of goodness by the prescribed method of living and acting, then one can be saved from the degradation of wrath by spiritual attachment. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expanded himself into many for his ever increasing spiritual bliss, and the living entities are parts and parcels of this spiritual bliss. They also have partial independence, but by misuse of their independence, when the service attitude is transformed into the propensity for sense enjoyment, they come under the sway of lust. This material creation is created by the Lord to give facility to the conditioned souls to fulfill these lustful propensities. And when completely baffled by prolonged lustful activities, the living entities begin to inquire about their real position. This inquiry is the beginning of the Vedanta Sutras, wherein it is said, Athato Brahma Jignasa, one should inquire unto the Supreme. And the Supreme is defined in Srimad Bhagavatam as Janmadhyasyato Anvayad Itaratascha, or the origin of everything is the Supreme Brahman. Therefore, the origin of lust is also in the Supreme. If therefore lust is transformed into love for the Supreme or transformed into Krishna consciousness, or in other words, desiring everything for Krishna, then both lust and wrath can be spiritualized. Hanuman, the great servitor of Lord Rama, exhibited his wrath by burning the golden city of Ravana. But by doing so, he became the greatest devotee of the Lord. Here also in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord induces Arjuna to engage his wrath upon his enemies for the satisfaction of the Lord. Therefore, lust and wrath, when they are employed in Krishna consciousness, become our friends instead of our enemies. So this is the verse 37. So 38, 39 are also in the are related. So I'll just read the translation, but we'll read 40 in detail. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. So verse 39 says, thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. So yeah, so verse 40, it says what are the various locations where the lust is situated. So we'll read this also. Indriyani mano buddhir asyadishtanam uchyate etair vimohayatyesha jnanamavritya dehinam. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Purport. The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all the activities of the senses, and thus, when we hear about sense objects, the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification. And as a result, the mind and the senses become the repositories of lust. Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate next door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify himself with matter and thus with the mind and senses. The spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as true happiness. This false identification of the spirit soul is very nicely explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. यस्यात्मबुद्धिः कुणपे त्रिधातुके स्वधि कलत्रादिषु भौम ईजदि यत्तीर्थबुद्धिः सलिलेन कर्हे चेत् जनेषु विज्ञेषु स एव गोकरः. A human being who identifies this body made of three elements with his self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsmen, who considers the land of birth worshipable, and who goes to the place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge, there is to be considered like an ass or a cow. Okay. So, the very nice verses. So, let's see why Krishna describes about lust at this point. So, there is one verse which comes before this, which is verse 36. So, here Arjuna asks, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? So, this is the question which Arjuna asked in the verse previous to this. And as a result, Krishna explains this. So let's understand what is the meaning of lust, which is explained here. So one interesting point to consider here is, uh, so yeah, so it is mentioned here that when the eternal love for Krishna is transformed into lust. So, and one more point here, it says that the origin of everything is Supreme Brahman, therefore the origin of lust also is in the Supreme. So it says Janmadhyasya in Anvayad Itaratascha. So what is the lust actually? So the origin of lust is in spiritual love. So as we discussed in as it has been discussed in the previous sessions that Mamayo Amsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So all of us are eternal fragmental spirit souls, parts of the Supreme. Correct? So we are all essentially spiritual in quality. So we have discussed this that we have this covering of the gross and material subtle material bodies, and actually these are just the coverings, and our actual identity is the spirit soul, and all of us are parts of God. So being the parts of God, we are like children of God. So as children of God, our natural propensity is to love our Father, who is God. So that is the natural exchange which has to happen between the living entity and God. But what has happened? We have forgotten that relationship. So instead of, since we have forgotten that relationship, that tendency is there in all of us. So here it is explained that, so living entities are parts and parcels of the spiritual bliss. What does this mean actually? So we have seen that living entities are parts and parcels of God. So here it also means spiritual bliss, because the essence of all spiritual bliss is God. So we are all parts and parcels of God. So we are also part and parcels of the spiritual bliss. So living entities are explained as Anandamayo Abhyasats. We are always looking for pleasure. So right from a small ant, you may see small ant on the street, to Lord Brahma, to all the people of this world, right, from a president to prime minister to common citizen, everyone. One thing you can see everywhere in common is all of them are looking for happiness. So that is something which is commonly seen in everyone. So there is no exception to it. That's why the scriptures say we are all essentially looking for happiness. So it's called Anandamayo Abhyasa. The only issue is we are looking for that happiness in the wrong place. So as we discussed, we are actually naturally we are meant to exchange that love with God. So that is what is the actual position of all of us as spiritual parts of God. But we have somehow misplaced that love into objects and people of this world. So that is where it has been misdirected. So where it is supposed to go, it is not going, it is going somewhere else. So can we experience satisfaction through anything else other than our natural position, which is to be loving and serving God? No, it's not possible. So just like if you have a fish is in the water, it's naturally satisfied in water. It's very happy. But if you, let's say, take the fish out of the water and give all the riches of the world, whatever the fish may desire, the best food to eat, the best opulences, the best climate, etc., but just keep it out of water, will it be ever be satisfied? No, it will not be satisfied, right? Because the essential thing which the fish is looking for is water. So outside of water, the fish can never be happy. Similarly, outside of our relationship with God, wherever our like that propensity may place will not be satisfied, because we are as missing the actual point. So that is what is explained. So we are parts and parcels of the spiritual bliss. Yes. So we are all looking for happiness that is there for all living entities, but we are looking for it in the wrong place. That's why people are not satisfied. So there is no one restaurant you can go that my tongue will be completely satisfied. No, there is nothing like that. So people keep changing restaurant. People keep traveling a lot just to find the best food to eat, right? There is no one thing which can satisfy. You get a new mobile phone, in some time you'll see, oh, so initially there is a lot of excitement. Oh, I got a new phone, I'll explore it. So let me see what all features are there. Maybe it will make me happy. You try to see, spend a lot of time. After some time, what happens? Oh, it just becomes a usual thing. Then you don't care much about it, right? So that's how it is. So initially, so there is a lot of anticipation of happiness which is coming through this sense objects, but it cannot, because that's what. So nothing material, nothing which is material can touch the spirit soul, because spirit soul is essentially spiritual in nature. So we are constitutionally spiritual. We are not. We have nothing to do with this material world, but we are identifying with the material world around us through our material body and your gross and subtle bodies. We are identifying with the material, the world around us. That's why out of this false identification, we're thinking that we'll seek some happiness out of engaging in the different activities in this world. So that's kind of what summarizes what our situation is, right? So so the actual where we have to place our love, it has been misplaced. So that is the essential thing. So actually the actual love which has to be, which when placed on supreme we are completely satisfied, that get misplaced, and then it is called as lust actually. So that's what is the definition of lust. So the same quality of love is transformed into lust. So what you have to do, if you have to get rid of lust, we have to again transpose it into love for supreme. So once we do that, there is no other things of this world which can influence us. So it says that bhakti pare eshanubhava viraktir anyatra syat. So what it says is, when bhakti is performed, when devotional service into supreme is performed, naturally we develop virakti for all the material objects. Why? There is no longing, no inclination which will ever exist, right? Because you have found that higher it is. So in Krishna only says in Bhagavad Gita that Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So it says that Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dihina rasavarjam. So once you find that higher taste, then nothing of this world will affect you. Param drishtva anivartate. You have found something higher. So once you find something higher, the things which are lower will not allure you anymore. So like for instance, all of us were children. When we were children, we had so many toys to play around it. Play around us. We would get like spend so much time playing with the toys or exploring new toys. That's it. But now we have grown up to an age that those toys, like if you give, you'll not feel okay. It's something interesting, but nothing much to like. There is nothing much in that. So because why? We have now seeking some higher level of happiness compared to what a child seeks for, right? So we have grown up in age. So we grow up in maturity, and we seek happiness in some higher levels, right? So, but for a child, that is all in all. So if you take a toy away from the child will become angry, start crying, and do whatever, throw tantrums. Right? But now, if someone takes a toy away from you, don't care. You take it. It's okay. No problem. I don't care. So that's what. So because that kind of happiness has been seeking from different. Similarly, so this is one level of maturity is, but actually when we grow even higher, so we seek happiness not in this material plane. We seek happiness in the spiritual plane. Then nothing of this material world will look like attractive to us. Just like for us, the toys with which a child plays doesn't seem attractive. Similarly, for a person who has achieved that higher spiritual bliss, for them, no happiness in this material world will look attractive like that. So that's the point. So lust, this tendency, so which is actually situated as lust, which is actually the natural place is love, which has got transformed into lust. That is manifested in various ways in this world, actually, through all our senses, right? So our eyes are always looking for something beautiful to see, right? So our ears are looking always for something nice to hear. Nose is looking for something nice to smell, right? Tongue is looking for something nice to taste, right? Skin is looking for something nice to touch. So all these senses, all these karmendriyas are always looking for happiness in all these gyanendriyas are always seeking happiness in various ways through different sense objects. But none of them can satisfy us, right? That's what we have seen. So if like I like to give an example which is very classic. Maybe I'll. This is a very nice way to explain it. So this I am giving an example, but it can be anything. So hope you can see the screen. Let me see. Sorry, I have to stop my sharing the screen. Then I share here. Yes. Oh, nice. So you are able to see the screen. Okay. So hope this is visible. So what I will show you is a happiness curve. So this is very interesting, very important to understand. So let's say your favorite food, like let's say gulab jamun, everyone, most of you like, maybe. I hope so. So let's say you are given gulab jamun to eat, so you'll feel very happy. So first of all, there is a lot of anticipation. So thing is like this. So because we have tasted gulab jamun, every time that happiness, the feeling of happiness is somehow stored in our mind. That's why whenever we see gulab jamun, we feel immediately attracted. Oh, we want to eat it, we want to eat it, right? So let's say someone gives you one gulab jamun, you'll get feel ecstasy, right? So it's something of great joy. So first gulab jamun, let's say, so if you don't like gulab jamun, please think of whatever food item you like the most, okay? So some people don't like sweets. So let's say the first gulab jamun will give you like a kick of happiness. You go very high. And then let's say someone gives you one more gulab jamun. What would happen? I'll just throw it. Tell me. So someone gives you the second gulab jamun. You feel like ecstatic. Oh my God. So this is like even more happiness. So happiness cures. So let's say this is happiness. And this is number of gulab jamun. So this is just an example, okay? So your happiness even goes high. And even after getting to, you're thinking, if only I got one more, if only I got one more, you're never satisfied. So one thing about anything in this, any materials happiness is that since that happiness is essentially not satisfying to the spirit soul, will not feel content by any amount of that actually. So that's why you will always seek for more or something different. So that's why even if you like eat gulab jamun, initially there is a lot of hankering. Once you get that, it is not satisfied. You still desire more. So if it was something which was completely satisfying, just by one you would have satisfied. But it's not the case. Yeah, you'll always desire more. When it's two, and if you don't get more, you'll feel pain also. Oh, if only I had got one more. It was so nice. If only I got one more, like that you'll think. So let's say you get the third gulab jamun, there's even more happiness. Right? But what happens if you get the fourth gulab jamun? Think, okay, now I got like bored of it. It's fine. Now I don't desire anymore. So let's say you go, now you got steady there. Fourth gulab jamun. And then someone, let's say, forces you to eat more gulab jamun, throws more gulab jamun in, puts it in your mouth. So you feel, oh no, no, no. Now I cannot eat anymore. I cannot eat. I am done with it. Give me something else. So then it starts going down and eventually you go below. So then you go into negative plane. So your happiness goes negative. So this is what happens essentially with the things of this world, a lot of cases. Just wanted to show this plot so that it stays in your mind. So this is true for almost everything in this world. So I just gave an example of gulab jamun, but it's not limited to it. So the essential thing is we are all looking for happiness, as you say, anandamaya abhyasa. So what is that happiness which can satisfy us? It is eternal happiness for unlimited time. So no one can say that I want some happiness for, let's say, X amount of time, and after that I'll take distress. It's okay. I just want happiness for this much time. No, it's not like that. We always want to be happy. There is no time when we want to be in distress, right? So there is no essential time when you want to be miserable. Some people say that if happiness and distress comes, then only you will feel the real pleasure which comes when you are happy. Then it's not true. If that is the case, then people would seek for misery, right? People would think, oh, let misery come. People would, instead of praying to God every day, oh, let all my miseries go away, they would pray, please give me miseries in between. No one prays like that. The only thing, let me always be happy. That's what people always say, right? So that's the thing. So we want eternal happiness. That's what we want. We don't want any stoppage for it. And what is the quantity? What is the quantity of happiness we want? We want unlimited happiness, right? No one would say, oh, we want just X amount, we want limited happiness, we just want this. No, we want unlimited happiness. So more the quantity of happiness, more you'll satisfy, right? So that's what. So like if you see the first gulab jamun gave some amount of happiness, the second gulab jamun gave even more level of happiness, right? So that's what we are looking for. We always want to increase the amount of happiness. So we are all looking for unlimited happiness for eternal time. But unfortunately, what we get in this world is limited happiness for limited time. Okay? So there is nothing in this world which can provide the need of the soul. Actually, as we discussed, nothing material can touch the spirit soul, because spirit soul is essentially spiritual in nature. So only something which is spiritual can satisfy the spirit soul. We can make a compromise trying to satisfy ourselves by things of this world, but it can never give us the actual joy which we are looking for. So, so this is one point. So now I'll just go to the next verse and see what it says. So this is also nice verse 39 verse. It says that Kama Rupena Kauntena Dushpurena Analena Cha. So people usually sometimes say that oh, if you need to satisfy your lust to some degree, then it will get some degree you satisfy. Once it is done, then it will extinguish. It's not like that. So it is not compared to like you are putting water on fire. So you have, let's say, some fire which is fire lust. Let's say you have some fire of lust, and it is not like while you satisfy it, you put water on it and it gets extinguished. Not like that. It is rather compared to something like you put fuel or ghee or petrol on fire and you even aggravate it. That's how it is explained. So every time we satisfy a lustful propensity, we are actually aggravating it. That's what scripture says. It says that which is never satisfied, which burns like fire. So it is like putting fuel on fire. So when you satisfy that, it is just putting fuel on fire. So if the case was that people who satisfy lustful propensities, they would be completely satisfied, then there would be no addictions at all. Okay. Will say once I like satisfied something, then there will be no more there will be no more desire. It's never like that, because our soul is never satisfied by that. So people they start drinking with some small quantity, then they keep increasing it, because to get the same amount of happiness they have to drink more now. That's how. So instead of their lustful propensity getting extinguished by drinking, it has actually increased. They want to enjoy more and more. So it is never satisfied in that way. So if you go, so the verse 40, what it says, it's very important. It says the senses and mind and intelligence are the sitting place of lust. So lust is considered as a all devouring sinful enemy of the spirit soul. So as we discussed, so our spirit soul's natural propensity is to love and serve God. So because of these lustful tendencies which are there in us, we are getting distracted from that. So that's why lust is acting as the all devouring sinful enemy. It is like completely devouring our service attitude, and it is taking us away from our constitutional position and dragging us through repeated cycle of birth and death. So this is our enemy. So we should know where our enemy is situated, right? So if a king wants to defend oneself from the enemy, they should know where the enemy is situated, right? First of all. So the worst thing is here the enemy is not there in enemy's territory. So if the enemy is outside, then it's okay. Like, you have to be prepared from that. You'll secure all your boundaries. Let's say that enemy is present within the own territory. It becomes much more dangerous. So it is something like that with lust. Lust is present within our body. It uses the resources within our body to destroy us, actually. So it is said that senses, mind, and intelligence, which are situated within our body, are the sitting places of this lust. So we should be very careful to deal with them in that way. So the senses, mind, and intelligence. So first thing which comes is senses. So is it that, so where is the lust situated? So we say that, okay, let's say, for give an example, this lust is situated in the sense. So it is said that lust is situated in all our senses. So is it present in our eyes? Yes, it is present. That's what is mentioned here. So where is it present in our eyes? So is there some place, if I do some operation, I'll be able to see where is lust? No, it's not like that. Lust is a subtle energy. So it is a material element, but it is a subtle material element. So lust is an enemy, is an object, but it is subtle. It is not visible to our gross senses. So it is present so it is not present in the eyes physically, but it is present in the sight, in the vision, in the tendency to see. So we have our eyes, and we have the sense object of eyes, then we have the power of vision, actually. So the sense of sight, I would say. So that's what experiences what we see through. Okay. So the eyes just captures the image, but the experience of seeing is captured by the vision, the subtle element which is controlling the eyes, actually. Same with our tongue. The tongue is just tasting the material element, but the sense of taste is experienced by the subtle element which is controlling the sense of taste. taste like that. And in that subtle element, there is lust which is situated. So in all our senses, there are lust being situated. How is that lust situated? It is coming through many, many lifetimes. It is getting situated in all of them. And that is what actually makes us, produces a strong craving to seek that lustful happiness through all these sense objects actually. So that's what is explained here. The senses, mind, and intelligence are the sitting place of the lust. So that's why Krishna says in the next verse that the beginning comes with regulating the senses. So tasmatvam indriyanyadav niyamya bharata rishabha. So like that it says. So tasmatvam indriyanyadav niyamya bharata rishabha. So because the first place where the lust is situated are in the senses, so we regulate the senses. We cut the inputs to the senses, then gradually our senses can get purified like that. And then we also engage in spiritual activities by which the lust can be purified back into love. So the only way, so as to summarize, the first thing is lust is the tendency to enjoy separate from God. So our natural tendency to serve God is misplaced um, into objects of the senses. So what is the actual solution is to transpose that lust which has misdirected towards objects of the world back into love for the supreme. So that's how we have to repose our love, and that's how we can be saved from this enemy of lust. So it's an all devouring enemy, so you have to be very careful of this, because the thing is, people say that okay, I'll just regulate, I'll just do little bit of this prohibited sinful activity and then I'll be saved. It is not like that. The thing is, or people say that it is different. So let's say there is some sexually explicit material which is shown all over the internet, all through social media, all through the television, etc. People say that oh, this is different, and the rape cases or the sexual violence which is happening nowadays rampantly, that is both are different. It's not like that. The thing is, this is what aggravates the sexual desires or the lusty desires within the individuals, and that is what impels the people to act in that way. So people may say this is something which is not forceful, that is something which is forceful. Yes, but when lust is when lust becomes very powerful, then people, it becomes all devouring. People lose their discrimination. So here it says lusty intelligence. So intelligence is also one place where the lust resides. So intelligence gets fully corrupted, and then one will not be able to think actually. Then one will not have any discrimination. That's why it is very dangerous enemy. So we have to be very careful of it and make sure that we transform this lust into love. Okay, so then we develop love for supreme, then we can have love for all the living entities like that. So that's how we can control the lust. So with this I'll pause. I think if I went little extra, please forgive me. And if you have any questions, I can take it. And if you are free to leave now. Okay, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm glad to take it. Hope this is clear to all of you. Yes. Perfect. So if you have any questions, you can, or else we can free, we are free to leave. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So if, since there are no questions, I'll pause the session here. You can join again tomorrow.